What's up, guys? So I'm actually just out here getting some steps in, but I wanted to show you guys today's workout. It was my legs A session and the first session back doing the normal volume I do for my legs A session. You know, last week, if you guys watched the previous few videos, you would have seen my D volume sessions that I had done, or two of the D volume sessions that I had done this past week. And you know, I had taken 3 full days off, and then I went into the week with 3 D volume sessions, and I filmed 2 of them. I believe I did. Yeah, the legs B session and the push session. So you guys got to see them. And you know, yeah, like I said, today back to full volume and a solid workout. So another session here, and like I mentioned, this is the first session back doing full volume. So yeah, overall it was really nice to be back to normal volume. And even though it was normal volume, since this was my first session back, I was mindful of that, and you will see throughout some of the movements that I did hold back a little bit. The idea really going into this session for me was that I was going to go in and essentially at least match performance from what I did previous rotation. So, you know, for this movement, the adductor, I had done this weight for 9 to 10 reps, and I believe, yeah, it was like 9 to 10. I think I actually lost count. So I just wrote that down. So I wanted to get at least 9 this session, but I also wanted to make sure it was very controlled. So another thing I'll say is I believe my form overall on this set of adductors was probably more controlled than the last time the last session I did. But I wanted to really emphasize that stretch, as you can see, and I want to get a full contraction for every rep. And once I couldn't get that full contraction, then I ended the set there, you know. So, and then here was the, you know, seated hamstring curl, which actually last legs A session, I wasn't even able to do this. I had to actually get on the lying hamstring curl. So it's actually been a little while since I even have done the seated hamstring curl. So it actually felt a little, yeah, I knew it was going to be a little off just for that fact. And the fact that I took those 3 days completely off the gym is actually made it where it's been even longer since I've actually done this specific leg session. So everything was feeling a little different just because of that as well. So all those little things play a role. But as you saw there, that was the first working set, and I do 3 working sets of these, and I actually filmed all 3 just to basically show how consistent I try to keep the reps every single working set, you know. I actually did, you know, 2 warm-up sets before I did these working sets, just to give you guys an idea of how I go about it. Like for this particular movement, it's going to be different, like depending on the movement, that's going to determine like how many warm-up sets I do. So, and essentially I'm just doing as many as I need to get acclimated to the working weight. But for the hamstring curl, typically I'll do 2 and then go into the working sets. And so, yeah, that was the second set there. And you saw both of those sets. If you paid attention, I was leaving reps in the tank. And more so, I just came in and I looked at what I did last rotation. And I just wanted to at least match reps. And actually, like I said, the last time I did it, I did the lying, but I looked back at this session before where I had done the seated hamstring curl, and I aimed to match reps from that week. And I actually, for the last set here, the third set, I ended up actually doing more reps. But yeah, and I did do like I think 2 more reps on the second set too. So I made some progressions, but it wasn't like I'm really trying to force it so much. Just because I knew coming back after taking a little bit of time off, and then it having been even longer since I had done the seated hamstring curl, I didn't want to go back complete full force for this. So that was intentional. Now, like next session, I'll go in and the goal is going to be to actually take those sets to failure. So I will push more there then. But keep in mind, this was like the first session back after the backing off, I guess you could say. And I just filmed one of the 2 working sets of the leg extensions. Normally, I would actually do these before the hamstring curl. Normally, I'll do these second, but I had to do it third today. But this was the back off set. So, typically I'll do one set, one heavier set, and then one lighter set, basically. Go figure. One set of 6 to 10, one set of 12 to 15. And so this was that back off set. And again, I just looked at what did I do last rotation. Okay, I want to see if I can progress. And actually for the first set, I believe I was actually able to progress the first set I did progress. And I think I got maybe 1 rep up on the second set. So yeah, overall those felt good. And yeah, just chill. Right now, like during the session, I'm just listening to instrumentals, trying to be, and that's something like I mentioned before, I'm getting back in the habit of doing more, is being more mindful of like what I'm listening to, even more so than I have been, which I usually always am. I'm always listening to certain songs that are going to make me feel a certain way during my session, but I think just in recent times, I felt like I wasn't being as mindful as I could have been. And I felt like, sometimes there's certain music that will cause me to be less present during sets. And so, like, depending on the movement, that will actually determine, like, what kind of music I'll listen to. And depending on the session. But, like, for example, for, the isolation movements, I just listened to, like, instrumental music. And then I listened to something that was going to stimulate me a little more, which is actually, like, R&B. Here, so it wasn't anything hard like metal or rap necessarily, but it was actually like R&B. But it puts me in a mode for the hack squats where I'm present, I'm calm, I'm stimulated enough to where I'm just really there for the set. I didn't want to be overly amped up for these. I wanted to be just more present and calm. But yeah, so top set here, the hack squats, and this was up from last session. So, like, towards the tail end of the cut, I actually backed off weight on the hack squats just to make sure I was really controlling it. And I switched up my form as well there. So, I wanted to get more to less as my stability was getting worse towards the end of the cut. But this session, I wanted to go a little heavier for this top set than I did last rotation, because I wanted to actually, stick around that 6 to 8 rep range. And I wanted it to be paused with slight resets at the top. So that's like the tempo I'm planning to work with on my top sets for hack squats moving forward, where, I might have a slight rest at the top and then I'm really controlling on the way down, pausing at the bottom, coming up. And so, yeah, I'm happy with overall how this moved. Looking back at it, I probably could have done another rep, at the end there, and maybe even more than that. So, yeah, but overall that was good. A good starting point. So that next rotation, I'm actually probably going to add 5 or 10 pounds to that top set and aim to stick in that 6 to 8 rep range. That's kind of the goal. Like right now, coming off of the D volume, I'm basically just trying to gauge where my starting point is going to be for these movements moving forward, because I want to actually see some solid progressions week to week. So I don't want to, I'm basically trying to just make sure I'm starting out by, picking a load that I can really control. I want to standardize my form moving forward. So you'll see for this set, the back off, I switch it up. So for the back off set for the hacks, I'm trying to work in that 12 to 15 rep range actually, and trying to do continuous reps. So I'm not resting at the top on these. As you can see, on the first set, I was doing those slight resets at the top before I came back down. And then for this set, you'll see I'm not doing that, but I'm not pausing at the bottom. I'm taking out the pauses for the back off, and yeah, just trying to keep it continuous, you could say, where I'm not resting at the top. And yeah, it's very challenging to do that. and it's easy to want to, spend that time at the top. It's hard to keep the tempo actually standardized like this, but essentially I'm trying to keep that tempo standardized as much as possible. And once I cannot complete another rep with this tempo, then the set is over. So you'll see towards the end, I don't try to pause when it gets hard, like at the end. But once I know I'm not going to be able to get another rep with this given tempo, I end the set. But yeah, this was nice. So last rotation, this is actually the weight I did for the back off. I actually did this weight for the top set and the back off, but for the top set, last rotation, I did pauses. And I actually did, I did that. And then I backed off like this without the pauses, but I ended up getting more reps this week, which was good. So that was an improvement there. And yeah, I'm really aiming, a goal is to just really bring the hack squat up. I'm not strong on this hack squat. My hack squat is terrible right now, but I'm aiming to just slowly, build up. So like next week for the back off, I'm planning to maybe add 5 pounds, trying to keep that same tempo and seeing what I can do. You'll see here now, we got the leg press. This is the top set. And this was good. I actually went up in weight from last session. Last rotation, I had done 10 reps, I believe, with I think just 6 plates per side. And so I knew I'm trying to stay around that 8 to 10 rep range for that top set. So I wanted, since I hit 10 last time with 6, I knew I could do a little more. So I added a 10 on each side. And I hit, I believe, 9. And then for the top set here, slight reset at the top. No pauses at the bottom. And as you can see, my foot placement is really low on these because I'm trying to get more knee flexion. It is, this platform, I think I mentioned it before, it is a little awkward because it's really narrow at the very bottom. So it just, I don't know, it feels a little awkward. But it also is just harder, man. Whenever I do my other session, and I have my feet higher up, I can definitely move more weight on this same leg press. But yeah, you have your feet really low like that. Get that extra knee flexion, that extra depth. It's more challenging. But overall, I was happy with that, Like I said, the last rotation, I only did 6 plates per side. That was the tail end of the cut. And even the session prior to that, I had done this exact same weight for the top set, but I had only done I think 7 reps. So yeah, that was a win. Not the most I've done on the leg press per se, but considering this is the first session back, and this is this first legs A session of this gaining phase, it's a win, And so here's that back off set, and for the back off on my legs A session, I've been pausing at the bottom and trying to keep the reps continuous so I'm not resting at the top. And very challenging, very challenging. This was very good because, but I'm actually not sure exactly how many reps I got last rotation. I lost count. I don't think I filmed it, but I just ended up straight up losing count. I have to, pretty much 99% of the time on these leg press sets, I'll end up losing count if I don't film it. But very challenging, man, to get those pauses in and to not rest at the top, man. But I believe I hit 11, so puts me in a good position. Next session, the goal is going to be to essentially 5 or 10 pounds up on the top set and the back off, trying to keep the form standardized to the standards I have in place for the top set and the back off set, and try to stick within the rep range I have for these movements. That's typically that's what I'm really planning to do moving forward. It's just micro load, as long as I can stay within that given rep range I have. So yeah, overall, happy with how that went. And yeah, it felt good, man. And again, on these sets, I was listening to R&B, man. That's been my move on my leg press sets, man, it's been R&B. I'm an R&B guy, man. And it just puts me in a good state for those particular movements when I want to be more calm and more composed, versus being really amped up. For those leg press sets, man, I found that I just feel like I'm better when I'm more present, and I feel like when I'm more amped up, I'm not always as fully present. I feel like sometimes it just almost backfires, but sometimes, there's still times where I will get a bit more, amped up or want to listen to something harder than R&B, but a lot of times it will depend on the movement. But for the most part, though, a lot of times it's going to be R&B for me. And so I just filmed one set of the calf raises. I did 3 working sets, trying to stick it around the 12 to 15 rep range. But as you can see there, I left a few reps in the tank. I just wanted to pretty much match performance from last session, and I did that for all 3 sets on working sets on the calf raises there. And then, I ended off with the split squats. So just one working set of these, trying to stick in the 12 to 15 rep range. And recently, I actually backed off the weight on these. I have been going a little heavier some, weeks back, but in recent times I backed off the weight just to reset the form. I felt like my form was starting to get a bit whack on these, and I was kind of sacrificing control for just doing more weight. So, and this is still a movement that I'm not super skilled at, man. I'm still, trying to get these down. But I'm really actually overall happy with how these look, man, and how these felt. I felt like this is the cleanest set I've done on the split squats in a while, man, to be honest. And these are only the 90s, it's not like the heaviest I've got on these, but I'm happy with how these actually went, man. Overall happy. And, one thing I will say is, I give myself time. I didn't, keep that whole tape on. I didn't keep the whole tape here to show you guys, but I did rest a while before I went into the right side. So if you're doing split squats, don't go straight from your, the first side to the second side. Give yourself time to rest, because if you go straight into that right side, you're going to be super gassed, and you're probably not going to even be able to get as many reps as you got on that left side. So I did, take my time. And that's something I always do on these, is taking my time between the sides. And pretty much treating it like a separate set. But I just tried to match it there. And overall happy with how they went, man. And happy with how this workout went, man. It was a solid session back.